Thanks again for having me at Marasi here. Appreciate the opportunity. In terms of how AI has been transforming the industry, it has really been a step-by-step process. So the very first need in the industry has been to look at the data that is coming in from on board the vessels. So whether it's information that's coming in from sensors, it's information coming in from marine ERP systems, such as nautical systems from our company or other fleet management systems. The data that you're bringing from these vessels and trying to analyze that to be able to deliver better insights. The improvement in quality of that data has been the very first field in which the artificial intelligence has been applied. So, and this is some of the things that you would find as very intangible because you don't have a real clear outcome coming out of it. But the key is there is a lot of data in the industry. There's a lot of information that you need to pull. And how do you tie all of this information together in a way that you can get insights is really the key part. So while there is a lot of buzz in the industry regarding machine learning and artificial intelligence, the approach that we have taken as ABS has been very practical. How can we get data from the vessels? How can we improve the quality of this data so that that can be used and contextualized in a way that you can understand better the fuel consumption, the carbon footprint, the ability for us to be able to interpret the health of structures and machinery at any given point of time, and being able to give them some kind of forecasting ability from there on to say, based on what we are seeing now in terms of fuel consumption for some of their main consumers, at the end of the voyage, this is what we anticipate the overall consumption to be. And then you build some constraints around that as an example to say, is this prediction going to be staying within line of what my charter party requirements are? Because I have contractual commitments to stay that my overall consumption is going to stay within a certain threshold. Is that feasible given the weather conditions that I'm seeing? Is that feasible given the different operational constraints or commercial constraints that I have to be able to arriving at my destination at a certain point of time? So there are a number of use cases or applications for AI. And I would say that enhancing data quality that you're receiving from on board the vessels, and then using that data to turn some level of insights back into the operations, both for the crew on board the vessel, as well as the shore side to be able to understand what is happening on different times of reference, let's say, is where AI is really becoming important in the industry. Specifically getting into Yellow.ai itself, the concept of Yellow.ai, which is upcoming scale up right now, they have just raised another round of funding. They are one of our partners and a key member of our alliance program. The reason why we started looking at them is the way that we approach these problems is really from a design thinking perspective. It's a user-centered design. So while we can convert all this data into insights, we did not really stop there. Our challenge was, where do we take this insights and make it visible to our crew and to the shoreside teams in a way that it's really easy for them to digest and make these decisions. So the idea was, can we actually leverage what we call as a virtual fleet manager? So if you think about daily operations, when you're coming in as a fleet director, you're coming in as a C-suite person from the operator side or from an owner side, you rely on your fleet managers to be able to give you the most up-to-date information on how your fleet is performing and where do we as a company or as a team put our efforts into on a day-to-day basis to help on health, performance, and safety. So the virtual fleet manager is essentially a layer, a business intelligence layer that sits along all of my digital fleet, connecting to all our different modules so that it can continuously watch for what's happening on board the vessels and give some indications, some nudges to the actual fleet managers, the shoreside teams, the crew on board that's using my digital fleet, so that they can get the most easy and seamless access to the information that they're looking for without even having to click around and look for that information. So very specifically, as an example, if you were to ask the virtual fleet manager, are there any vessels in my fleet that have exceeded the fuel consumption thresholds that I've set? You will be able to get a list of these vessels. Are there any vessels that are not performing in accordance with my charter party requirements? You'll be able to get that. Are there any vessels in my fleet that are encountering severe weather where I need to pay attention to? You'll be able to get that information very quickly. So it's an overall user experience advancement by implementing Yellow.ai is that the easier you make it for the crew and the shoreside teams to be able to absorb and use the information for their daily operations, the more these technologies get adopted. So it is very important that we keep track of a lot of these upcoming capabilities and see how we can look at emerging technologies and be able to implement them into platforms such as My Digital Fleet to make life of our maritime seafarers and the crew and the shoreside team much easier. So that's where these technologies are coming into play.